Hey guys, welcome to Find Your Flow. I am Natalie and today we have yoga for gardeners or non-gardeners. This is absolutely for anybody who wants to send a little bit more love and support to the lower back, the hips, the wrists, forearms, shoulders, all of those spaces. So whoever you are and wherever you're doing this, hop onto your mat and I'll meet you there. Okay, so welcome all gardeners, non-gardeners, movement lovers, whatever you are, whoever you are, and whyever you chose this practice. I thank you for joining me today. We are going to start in a comfortable seat on the ground, but if the ground doesn't float your boat today, then you can come to a chair for the first part of our practice. And whenever you arrive there, really take this time to snuggle in. Sit up lovely, nice and tall, really feeling this length through all four sides of the torso, spreading this through the neck until we reach the head and the crown of the head. And closing the eyes or softening the gaze. Scanning from the head to the toes and using our breath to help us take away any tension that we're holding on to. Maybe in the physical body it's a little bit easier to sometimes pinpoint. Perhaps the shoulders are up near the ears, maybe we're clenching in the toes or the fingers. So notice all of these little things. The breath here helps us to soften. And once you've focused on the physical body, take your time and start to explore perhaps any emotional or energetic tightness or lack of space that we are potentially holding on to. And these things can have such an effect without always realizing on our physical body. So everything within us is connected. From the organs, the bones, the muscles, to our nadis or energy pathways, to the nervous system. And one thing that can help us to bring all of this together is our breath. So taking some time to focus on that at the start of our practice. And notice how we are after we've taken a few inhales and exhales. Finding one more breath here. And everybody gently batting the eyes open as we come to reach the arms all the way towards the sky. Let's soften through the shoulders and the elbows. Wiggle through the fingers. Find our headlight hands here. Nice, and then finding a little bit of stillness for one breath. Before taking our gaze up towards the sky. And then circling the neck over towards the left side. Down towards the ground, chin to the chest. And over to the right. Nice. The next time you lift your gaze up, send your circle in the opposite direction. There's no rush here, take it in your own time. Nice. And meeting back, gaze lifted. We'll send the arms behind us like airplane wings. Keep this lift in the heart. Finding almost a seated cow pose. So find one full breath here. And then as you exhale, curl the chin towards the chest and then swim the arms around and forwards into our seated cat pose. Nice. Then lifting your gaze slightly, taking it over to the right side. We're going to plant the right hand down, reach the left hand all the way towards the sky and gently fold over towards the right. And really keeping this space in the front body, heart radiating forwards and up. Gorgeous. Making our way back to center, gazing over to the left. Left hand reaches down and then right hand floats all the way up. Nice. Find your gentle fold. Lengthen even taller through the right side body. Really finding a bit more room for the intercostal muscles in between the ribs. And then making your way all the way back to center. Hands come to the knees as we enjoy some full body circles. Take these at your own pace and in a way that just makes you feel good. If somewhere feels a little bit stickier, I invite you to stay there and send your breath there for a moment or two. Really keeping the hips and pelvis space rooted down onto your support, whatever it is you have today. And can we take this movement just from our spine and also over to our shoulders, head, neck. The hips are getting some love as we rock forwards and back. And then send your circle in the opposite direction. Nice. And there really is no right or wrong as to how this movement should look. Just make it feel good for you. Before floating your way back to center. Nice. And reaching the right arm out in front. We're going to flip the wrists so the fingertips are facing towards the sky. And then from here, take the left hand and bring it to press back really, really lightly on the right fingers. So fingers come down towards the forearm. And the emphasis is really on the word gentle or soft. You don't have to do a lot here to really feel this opening, helping us to find a release in this space. Nice. And then flipping the grip, sending the fingers down towards the ground. Hand this time comes onto a little bit higher, the back of the right hand. So breathing into the wrist and forearms, keeping the shoulders down from beneath the ears. Nice, and just circle through the right wrist, shake it out if we need to, before coming on to the other side. So sending the left arm out, lifting the fingers towards the sky. We take the hands and reach them back towards the forearms. Now this is also great, not just for gardeners, but also for all of our yoga practice. We use our wrists so much, so helping to find the space and also to strengthen them is really, really important to protect this area. We're in our yoga practice, but also just in everyday life off the mat as well. So then sending the fingertips down towards the ground, hand to the back of the hands, making sure that we aren't reaching this left shoulder forwards, but keeping it plugging back into the shoulder socket. Finding one more breath here before releasing, rolling it out and shaking that wrist. Nice, shake it like a Polaroid picture, as they say. And then bringing the left hand to the heart center. We're going to reach the right hand all the way out, lengthen the arm, and take it over towards the left side. So starting to find a bit of a twist here in our center, noticing this rotation through the ribs and the thoracic spine. And keep reaching that right hand a little bit more before we float it down to the outside of the left thigh and swim the left hand all the way behind us. Into our twist, we'll inhale and lift a little taller. And then as we exhale, I invite you to explore this rotation a little bit more if there's room to do so today. We're not looking to crank or yank ourselves into any position. So just be with the body and the breath. And on your next exhale, make your way all the way back to center and bring the right hand to the center of the body. Reaching the left hand out to the side as we really explore this rotation through the ribs. Notice if we're just cranking our head, neck and shoulders back. We're getting the juiciness through the spine as we twist through our center. Nice, one more breath. And then sending the left hand out to right thigh, right hand swims all the way behind us, journeying into our twist, keeping our lower body rooting down. Exploring this pose a little bit more perhaps with a breath. And then coming all the way back on your next exhale. Bringing our fists together and reaching them out in front. Bringing the inside of the hands so that they're touching. And what we're going to do here is sort of roll around the wrists. So bring the wrists underneath and curl them towards your heart center. And then they're going to curl out so the outer part of the hands are together, reaching away and then rolling back. So this might take you a couple of times to get used to, but whenever you do, this is a really gorgeous movement for the wrist, hands and forearm space. And then sending these circles in the opposite direction, a little bit of yoga for the brain. And if you're completely lost, don't worry. Just circle through the wrists and move in a way that feels good. One more full cycle of breath here, in and out. Nice. And then shaking through the wrists. Spreading through the hands, finding those headlight hands here. Lights on, lights off. And everybody coming to make your way down to the ground and into a tabletop all fours. With the wrists beneath the shoulders. We'll plant the knees beneath the hips and take whatever support you need under the knees here. So take as much padding as you would like from your towel or blocks, blankets, whatever you have, and really spread through the fingers, pressing into the fingertips to take some pressure out of the wrist. But if this weight bearing is too much on the wrist today, we also have the option of coming on to fists. So find our fists just like we did a moment ago, and this still helps to strengthen the wrist, but just takes some pressure out of that joint space. And you can use this at any time in your yoga practice. It's a really nice, different option to choose. So wherever we are, we're just going to send some more love to our spine, really, really important. Curling the tailbone down, arching through the back body, gaze in between the legs, cat pose. And then lifting the tailbone, tummy floats down, gaze forwards. Cow pose, move as quickly or as slowly as you'd like to here. There's no rush, there's nowhere we need to be. The only time we have is now. And rather than just focusing on making our way to the destination, the end of our pose, can we experience the transition there? And coming back to what we were saying before at the start of our practice, how it's all connected. The more juiciness and oxygen we get sent to our spine, the more blood flowing around this area, the more we help to protect our lower back space, the shoulders, upper body, the middle of the body, lower body. Pretty much everything is connected to our spine and helps us to feel good. So it's really, really important if you're a gardener or if you're not. One more cat pose, wherever you are, and float your way into cow pose. And meeting back in a neutral spine. We'll take our knees nice and wide, bring in the big toes to touch as we sit back on the heels. Child's pose. And make this child's pose your own as always. Make it feel good for you. Take the support you need. Perhaps under the forehead, between the hips and the heels, under the knees, anywhere at all. Keeping as soft a bend in the elbows as you would like to. And I invite you here, you can stay still if you like in your balasana, really use this as your resting posture, or start to just move the hips from side to side, easing into this space around the inner thighs, the groin, the hips. Nice. One more full breath here. And then pressing through the palms, taking your time to make your way up into a tabletop. Knees float back to parallel, and we send the right leg behind us as we arrive here. Toes tucked under, just rock forwards and back, and then float back to neutral as we step the right foot all the way in front, coming into a lunge with our back knee on the ground. Again, take whatever padding you want to underneath the back knee. You might like to double up on the mat here. And everybody, taking a look at your legs as we lift into our low lunge with our hands on our hips. If we're on this tightrope struggling to find stability, then can we step it a little bit wider? Easing into this left hip flexor space. And be careful we aren't just collapsing here, which can be quite tempting if we do have the space or flexibility. So really being mindful of keeping this front knee over the front ankle and this activation as we plug our right thigh back in towards our right hip and send our left thigh forwards in towards our left hip. And you'll find this almost scissoring effect on the ground. It really helps to keep us super, super stable. Nice. And on your next inhale, we'll float the hands behind like airplane wings as we lift our heart, lift our gaze, find extension. This is like our lunge cow pose now. Nice. And on your next exhale, curl the chin towards the chest, arms float in front to our lunge cat pose. Gorgeous. Making your way back to center, inhaling to reach both hands towards the sky, and then taking the left wrist with the right hand. We reach even taller through all four sides of the torso, and then start to fold over towards the right side of the mat. Ooh, nice. Breathing here, really plug the hips, the thighs towards the hips to help this stability. And then make your way all the way back to center, release the arms, and step back into tabletop. Just wiggle the hips from side to side, all the way around in a circle, one way and the other way. And then send the left leg out long behind, tucking the toes as we rock forward once and back once. And then coming back to center, stepping that left foot up, give it a helping hand if you need to. Everybody lifting out of the front leg, hands come to the hips. We find our lunge. Make this feel good for you. If you're on the uncomfortable part of the kneecap, then just walk the knee a little bit further back if you need to. And take the shoulders away from the ears. Finding a couple of breaths here. Imagine we're that puppet on the string, reaching us all the way tall towards the sky. Nice. And then on your next inhale, float the arms back, airplane wings, lift the gaze. Imagine your rose on the Titanic, nice. And then exhale, curl and chin towards the chest, palms float together. Making your way back to center. On your inhale, reach for the sky with the arms. And taking the right wrist with the left hand, folding over to the left side, finding this lovely, lovely space through the right side body. And then releasing, framing the front foot, stepping your way back to tabletop. And from tabletop, we are going to turn the fingers out, so either towards the sides of your mat or towards the knees, whichever feels most comfortable and accessible for you right now. And this is a really, really small movement, sending our hips towards our heels, keeping the palms on the ground. Taking one more breath here. Nice, and then keeping the fingers turning away as we walk them a little bit closer towards the knees. And tucking the toes under here, sitting back on the toes, we might be able to sit back a little more and find a bit more length through the forearm and wrist space. We're taking it all at your own pace. Choose your own adventure. Find one more breath here. I know there's so much going on, so really stay present, be with the breath. Nice, and then lift your way out slowly. Resist the slingshot effect. Untuck the toes as we come to sit back on the feet and just shake out the wrists. And release the arms onto the thighs, taking a glorious breath in through the nose. Opening the mouth, sigh your exhale out. Nice. Jumping back into our tabletop and keeping our knees nice and wide, bringing the big toes towards each other, just like we did when setting up for our child's pose. But this time we're going to send the right hand down to the ground as we reach the left arm all the way towards the sky, open into a twist. Inhaling. As we exhale, thread the left hand through and under the bridge of the right arm. And if we need some support underneath our left ear, then take what we need. Really just lift the ground up to you to make this pose feel great and really work for your body. Remember, everybody's bodies are very, very different and they vary from one day to the next. So keeping present is how we can really help ourselves. Option to send the right hand behind to the small of the back. One more breath here. And then press the right palm down, left hand reaches all the way to the sky. Nice. Before softening back into our wide-kneed tabletop, coming onto the other side. So left hand plants, right hand reaches. Open twist and then threading it through. Resting on the right ear. Keeping the right hand nice and soft. Floating the left hand to the small of the back if this feels good for our last couple of breaths. And then pressing the left palm into the ground, we lift and rise, open twist, and release. Gorgeous. Everybody scooting the legs to one side and coming through to sit on our mat with whatever support we would like to here. As you can see, I use my yoga block, but I've also used towels or cushions, anything I have to hand. And when we find our seat, lifting ourselves towards the front, we are going to take our feet together, the soles of the feet, and open the knees out nice and wide, finding a Baddha Konasana. So you can walk your feet a little bit further in or a little bit further out, depending on what feels right for you today. Everybody, we're going to take hold of the legs or the feet, the toes, and inhale to reach really, really tall from all four sides of the torso. And then as we exhale, we'll think about bringing our stomach down towards our heels. So keeping as much length through the spine as we can. It might be tempting to curl around and collapse, but really, maybe you try that for a second and notice the different sensation we can experience there. It might not feel like a great one, particularly for the lower back area. So we're looking to look after this space as much as we can. Very much so as gardeners in particular. But also send some space to the hips here. in our bound angle pose. Inhale, reach a little taller. Exhale, maybe we explore a bit more room. Nice, one more breath. And then everybody lifting all the way up. Send the left leg out long, hug the right leg up and in. Turning the knee out so the right foot comes to the inside of the left thigh. And keeping our left toes reaching towards our face. Taking our hands to our ribs, we'll spiral them over towards the right leg. And as we do this, we'll send our left hand down our left leg, just as far as feels comfortable, and reach our right hand towards the sky, finding a slight fold over towards the left leg, just like we have explored earlier. This time, with the leg out long, notice what else we are feeling here. Just really be present with the sensations. Finding one more breath. Nice. And then hands come to the ribs and we spiral them over our left leg this time. And hands come either side of the leg. We might like to come onto the leg as we lift tall, inhaling, and folding, exhaling. Again, stomach down towards the thigh. And keep as generous a bend in this left knee as you'd like to. Nice, one more breath here. And then lifting our hands to our rib cage, spiraling them over now towards the left side of our mat, and taking our right hand to the outside of the left leg. So wherever it falls naturally, left hand comes to the ground for support as we use this rotation in our center that we have explored to twist a little bit more over towards the left side of our mat. We might send the left hand back, it might come forward wherever the support's needed. Nice, one more beautiful breath. Enjoy it, love it, trust your practice, and slowly unravel your way back to center. Send the right leg out long, hug the left leg up and in, and then turn the knee out so the foot comes to the center of the inside of the right thigh. And toes lift towards the face, hands come to the rib cage as we spiral it over towards the left leg now. Just flowing into this space as we reach the right hand down and left hand up. Reach all the way for the sky before folding over. And just like we did at the start of our practice, think about this lift in the heart radiating towards the sky. One more breath. And then making your way back up, hands come to the ribs as they come over towards the right leg. We lift a little taller and then fold forwards on our exhale, hands either side of the leg or on the leg. With this little flow, we're sending the ultimate love to the lower back, the spine, the back of the legs, the hips. Absolutely everything here. You might like to close the eyes if you know what's coming next. On your exhale, lifting your way up slightly, ribs float over towards the right side. Left hand reaches to the outside of the right leg. The right hand floats behind for support. Make the most of this twist. On your next exhale, lift up, unravel, send the hips off your support, bring yourself to the center of your mat as we use our hands to help guide us down to the ground. As we get there, hugging the knees in, Apanasana, rocking from side to side. Nice, then planting the feet with the ankles underneath the knee space. We'll send the hands down by our sides and really rooting through the palms and the soles of the feet as we float our tailbone up towards the sky. Peel the low back, mid back and upper back off the ground in our 2-foot support. Keep moving with the breath as you roll. 1 vertebra at a time, lifts and lowers. Nice. And the next time you come down to the ground, option here to float the arms all the way back behind us. We can keep a generous bend in the elbows if that feels better, but just lifting and lowering the tailbone 3 more times. Really imagining your spine to be like a wave that's cresting and falling. Nice. Everybody meeting with the spine on the ground, arms down by your sides or on the body, walking the feet a little bit wider, rolling the right thigh out, the left thigh in, windscreen wiper, but really slow this down today. Spend time with a couple more breaths on each side before rolling over to the other. And just even it out from one side to the other before meeting back in the center and finding our final and most precious resting posture, Shavasana. Take what support you need here. Come to whichever version of Shavasana feels best for you. Maybe the knees are bent with the feet on the ground. If you have a bolster or some cushions, we can bring them underneath the hamstrings to find some support for the lower back. But wherever you are, close the eyes or soften the gaze. Release any tension around the muscles of the face and then spread this release down through the neck, the shoulders, the arms, the wrists and hands, down all 4 sides of the torso to the pelvis and hip space, down both legs to the ankles and the feet. Recognizing this valuable time that you've spent to send some care, some love and compassion to your physical body, but also to the emotional and mental body. Can we ask ourselves if we can take this breath, this calm inhale and exhale through the nose with us off our mat and into the rest of our day. Staying here for as long as you'd like to. But if you have to boogie, floating the palms together at the heart. And I thank you so much for joining me today. green finger or not. Until we meet again, namaste.